Hey guys, it's Will. Hopefully you're having a great Friday today. So we just wrapped up our live session in Stockmate, and you can see we got this appliances getting into the kitchen. Um, we were trading; it hasn't moved at all, but we entered again a short-term position on Big Bear AI. So our portfolio is up about 1.6%. We started the day off with Redwire, space tech company, that we ended up selling for a profit when it made a big run this morning. And we were able to lock in some profits there. I think about $200. Started the day off around 450, and then it tapered off a little bit. We ended up having a sell off. So RCAT, you could see RCAT was up 20%. Most of defense was doing well, but the markets started off slow with some red. But here's what's going on with Big Bear. So Big Bear, we've been covering it for a while. I have long-term positions at $2.80 average. We started in October, and by February, it was at $10 a share. Now, here's the thing. This $10 share price point, this has been the target. This is where it's been trying to get to. And after that sell-off with the greater market in February, then it started to make its recovery in April and into June before breaking out. Now we've been watching this hyper bull trend recently. It looks something like this hyper bull trend where it's been making higher highs using the previous resistance as support, and then recently started consolidating. So once it peaked out at $8.72, which by the way, there was some stockmates, they were able to get stockmate for free because they enrolled in a sale we had running for this price point, that if it hit $8 a share, then they would get stockmate for free. We did do some refunds yesterday, so that was exciting. And then what we had going here was this move. So this morning, there's two things to watch. I know I'm in this trade, and I know it's a short term, and we just entered very small position, just test it out. Why are we more conservative on this one, but still looking for this 16% margin for profit, really? Um, but why are we more conservative? Well, Big Bear has some really good things going for it. You got defense contracts, Department of Defense, you got Pentagon, you have their Veriscan, which has been huge. You have the development of their airport network. So with this Veriscan here, with this new technology, they're collecting tons of data. They're making a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but they're getting a lot of contracts, and their financials are improving potentially here. But here's all the airports they recently got into. We know there's big institutional holders, but outside of all the talk, the financials, you see the revenue increasing and then kind of tapering off. Last quarter, they announced they may have some contracts, they said, that hadn't hit their bank accounts, but that were expected to, but they weren't able to count them as revenue. We know they got a $160 million Army contract. They do have that partnership with Palantir. They got some other things going for them. So, like, there's revenue that most likely would have caught up and been normal around that $40 to $45 million range that they didn't report. And then on top of that, hadn't had all these announcements of these airports that we saw them getting into until they just announced it here in June 17th. So next balance sheet could clean up more, or I mean the income statement, but overall not too bad. You see their net income negative, that orange one quarter. That's because they paid down their balance sheet from basically their liabilities exceeding their assets from 343 million. This was what really made us cover them even more, is they paid down and almost halved their debts. So that orange drop off, and now their financial balance sheet looks a lot more healthy with more assets and liabilities. Yeah, that's why we follow them too. So when it comes to the value, I mean, we don't know that they don't sell off. In fact, what's developing here could be a three-stage to reversal. You had this overall uptrend, and it happened on the way here too. Like when they sold off here, we were watching them consolidate and consolidate before reversing. It usually happens at the top or bottom. And so we've seen them push up. And I got to clean this up maybe a little bit here. that they've started to push up and now they're correcting back down. So we have a stop there. I got to reevaluate. We just went through the plan this morning in StockMate when we were trading live. Looks like we have a stop there at 678, and we're going for, we'll add to our position if things change, but we will be looking for that $7.50, $7.75 price point, $200 profit with the current small test position. But ideally, if things go according to the profit potential, we would enter with more and be looking for over $1,000 profit if that were the case. But here's the thing. I'm in this small term trade and I have a plan, but we're talking about this morning in our live session. It's like we see this resistance or this big high. What's the third stage to the reversal? After consolidation, you then have the trend going in the opposite direction. So we've seen this sell down, and building this resistance level at about a lowering resistance with the next resistance here at about $7. So we talked about $7 being the support. It's kind of in that zone. Maybe that's where it acts as support. That's what we would kind of expect, at least in the way that we're doing this trade. But then you have this resistance here, then acting here. You got support. You have potentially what could be a sell down in a reversal. So watch it because it changed direction after this very consistent uptrending pattern here, and then it started to consolidate. And now we're saying, hey, is it going to consolidate and make this 17% move back up to $8? Okay, excellent. We'll trade it. If not, we're managing risk because take a look at that. If it sells back down, we know what the next target is. We've been talking about it. If it doesn't hold that $6 or that $7 range, the $6.80 to $7 range, the next sell down is really here. This level, this previous support, that's also just happens to be where this trend would be going. It's about a 10% sell down on BBAI. So, those are kind of what we're watching right now. So I got a stop loss set there. It's a small position now. Not really anything other than a test because, like I said, it's not really maybe the most favorable conditions, but could be something we add to if it goes well. But it looks like our stop loss there is about $6.78. So we'll see how it holds. All right, guys. Well, with Big Bear, we'll be keeping you updated. That's kind of the profit. Wanted to let you know on the position and what we're looking at for the levels. And also, we just announced the machine yesterday. So if you missed it, I'm going to leave a link in the first link in the description for Mercatus. It's our predictive analytics software for open models, AI models. You can choose your favorite stocks, see projections. You can find emerging markets and visualize them rather than having to go and look at all the different companies in a list and see all the articles. But it refreshes all those things for you, so you're not constantly checking for if a stock updated, was there a new news article. The projections are factored in real time. So if you want to get your hands on it, I'm going to leave it in the first link in the description. And then for those of you guys that would like to join us in our daily live sessions, I would encourage you to check the second link down below, as lifetime access there is changing, as it's a recurring thing Monday through Friday, every day at 6:30 a.m. Pacific or right at market open. So whatever time that is for you. And I would love to send you a free t-shirt. So again, first link for that full presentation. Would encourage you to take a look. And if I earned your thumbs up, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.